What? A policeman? A member of Scotland Yard? What nonsense! Why would my Wooly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. No Bobby works more tirelessly for the people of London. Miss Beata, you said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had to tamper with it. You're making it up. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. Ich hätte eher gedacht, dass geschlafen hat und dann die Gary Depp das rübergeräumt hat, aber okay. What about the Japanese man with the whiskers? I bet it was him. He did it.
Objection!
If that was true, Constable Beate would have seen him do it. Oh. And forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Miss Beate, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. Ah, well...
Objection!
First you make accusations about the landlord and his wife, and now you incriminate the policeman as well. But your accusations lack one very important thing. You claim the crime scene was tampered with, but there's only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime: to hide something. That's right, he's right. But my husband and I just happened to be there, that's all. So why would we have anything to hide? It doesn't make sense. You've offered no motive for this alleged tampering. Wurde dann erpresst von den Gary Depps, dass das rüberräumen soll? Weil es wäre ja sonst deren Fenster gewesen und da wäre es dann ja wieder möglich. Dann könnte das Messer unglücklich runterfallen und dann... keine Ahnung. And until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats. Constable Beate had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. That's the key to this entire affair. Mr. Naruhodo, have you managed to solve this mystery? Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. If you are mistaken, I'm sure I need not point out that your reputation as a lawyer will be irrevocably damaged. With that stark warning in mind, you will now explain to the court the motive for this alleged tampering. Yes, my lord. Constable Beate's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide where the book fell, where the bouquet fell, where the victim fell. Where the book fell, würde ich sagen. Where the book fell. Where the book fell to the ground. That's what he had to cover up at all costs. And why exactly? Oh, well, of course, the reason is, do you have something to hide, my learned friend? For it seems you are unwilling to share the reason with the court. Or could it be, perhaps, that no reason exists? Aha, shit, he didn't even try to hide his displeasure. Counsel, blah blah. Hä? Where the body fell dann? Where the victim fell. Where the victim fell to the ground. That is what this Bobby had to cover up, at all costs. What? Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Wire Road, we saw it happen, remember? It was right here, as if anyone didn't already know. That's certainly what everybody has been led to believe. But in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all. What? I'm beginning to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel. If that's your assertion, then the court is dying to know, my Nipponese friend. Where are you proposing that the victim actually took place that evening? Ich speichere nochmal, aber müsste ja einfach auf dem anderen Bürgersteig sein. Hier.
Take that!
But that's on the opposite side of the road. I don't understand. On the evening in question, Mr. Garrett Depp's book fell directly down from the open window above, and your bouquet, Miss Beate, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself. Oh, wie cool diese Kamerafahrten auch immer sind. Good gracious!
Objection!
Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But these witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place. That's right, I saw it with my own eyes. It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was a typical London fog on the ground. When you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid. That was actually on the west side of Briar Road. No, that's not true. It can't have been. Constable Beate then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you for help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. He moved all the things shown in this print. The victim herself, the 4 books. He moved everything, in fact, to the pavement on the east side of Briar Road. Extraordinary. But the constable overlooked one thing. What did he overlook? The bouquet, I presume? Exactly. The prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. Lord Van Ziek said it wasn't noticed until the morning as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. Yes, it couldn't be seen in the dark, obviously. Which is why it was only the bouquet that was found in its original position, on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense's theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond? Constable Woolley Beate. Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important? Oh, yes. Oh, Rowley. It isn't true, is it? What that lawyer said is all lies, isn't it? I know it is, because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know. I had a dream, a terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything come out. Everything exposed. Okay. Only it seems it wasn't a dream at all. Good. Good golly! Order, order, order! What on earth is the meaning of all this? Oh, Rowley, why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is a criminal offense, isn't it? Wishing the victim dead should be one too. Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London town. I can't say, sir. What? I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything. I have a possible explanation. For why, on that particular evening, Constable Beate felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason. What? How could you possibly know? You, a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman. And yet, Lord Van Zieks, it is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far. I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please. Yes, my lord. Now then, I think you had better show us some evidence. Okay, at once, my lord. England, Japan, it makes no difference where you come from, human emotions are the same. And I think I have a fairly good idea of the feelings behind this man's actions. What gives away the motive for Constable Beate's unthinkable actions? Was steht hier nochmal drin? A policeman will strive to preserve the peace within his allotted beat. A patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around the beat every day for the furtherance of community relations. Any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. When a crime is discovered on a beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Oh lol, als ob's noch... Achso, es geht nicht weiter. Ich dachte, weil da ein Pfeil rechts war. Hat er einfach keinen Bock, dass es in seinem Bereich ist und hat es dann rüber ins andere Revier geschoben. Ich speichere mal. Save complete.
Take that!
I realize that I'm a foreigner in this land, and I have only just arrived from Japan. Which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learned that, though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Ach so, wollte seinen Abend mit seiner Frau verbringen und deswegen hat er es ins andere Revier rübergebracht. Und dann hat er gewusst, die checkt das eh nicht, weil sie Orientierungsschwierigkeiten hat. I see. Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on his beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young Bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly. But for Constable Beate, the day in question was special. Special? How? On account of this bouquet, my lord. Oh yes, it was our very first wedding anniversary. Constable Beate had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife, and was so looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal. When he and Miss Beate stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. When he saw that shadowy figure through the fog, collapsed on the pavement ahead of them, what must have gone through the man's mind? But sir, just one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Miss Beate puts up with a lot being married to a bobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care. Das ist ja schon irgendwie süß. This is the warrant card that Constable Beate offered to lend to me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on a beat, the policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Aha! Constable Beate. Is that, or is that not the reason why you moved this whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Everything you said, it's alright. So that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat. Oh! Exactly. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. Good gracious! Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you've done? Mir fällt gerade auf, dass das E in Beate vielleicht sogar stumm ist und es einfach Beat heißt. Wenn ja, wenn es tatsächlich so ist, ich werde es so sagen, dann Entschuldigung für meine Mispronunciation. It was the first time since I became a copper that I'd ever cursed God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we went over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. We've got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, and what that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on its beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did this have to happen here? And why tonight, of all nights? Why? It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then, when I opened my mouth to speak. It just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. This is the next beat to mine, Pat. So you'll have to go to the police box that covers it. Turn right along Meerschaum Street and then... I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, Constable. I just wanted, just that one night, to take my Patricia out for dinner. Oh, really? Just that one night. You knew that if the incident was on your beat, even your evening of celebration would be ruined. And so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Just across the street, to the east pavement of Boyer Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care. You see, I thought, well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see. I beg your pardon. Oh, of course he did. Otherwise, my rollie would never have left the poor woman on the freezing cold pavement. Ah, I see your meaning now. But God got me back for my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the rose I bought for Pat. Oh no, Rolly, that was all my fault. I should never have dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Rolly. And can you tell us, Constable, how many books did you move from the one side of the road to the other in total? Oh, 4 it was, yes, sir, definitely, 4. 3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th, being the one that fell from the window upstairs, in the Garrett household, of course. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? When all the others were scattered haphazardly around, I mean. Oh well, sir, that's how I found it. How you found it? What do you mean? When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. You're sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, that the victim was holding? Oh yes, sir, no doubt about it, sir. Interesting. The 4th book's information has been updated in the court record. A book entitled The Lion's Pride that was in the victim's hand when Miss Beate first ran over to see what had happened. The victim was holding, okay. I thought it was an open hand and shut case at the time, you see? There were only the 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. However, which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who'd done it, I thought. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it all over the road would make a jot of difference. I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it. My lord. Yes, Lord Van Zieks? I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw. Yes, sir. Mr. Prosecutor, sir. What will become of my lady? What will happen to him? For now, you are free to go home. The police will contact you in due course. Please, don't punish my husband. This was all my fault. It's because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late. Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired. Alright then, my love. One last thing, Constable. Sir? Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you. Yes, sir. Carve that lesson in your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime. Ah! Never again, sir? You mean to say... Please, no. This trial is not yet over. Sir! Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of a crime like that? Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could possibly have committed this crime.
Objection!
No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back. Finally, forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already. Lord Van Zieks, is this true? Very well. Name the person if you will, and a further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. You will name this other person who could have perpetrated the crime. This is Junge.
Take that!
The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again? My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case. It's imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Miss Junge. Me? Oh dearie me.
Objection!
That request has already been denied.
Objection!
But the situation is very different now. Miss Garrett, answer me this. What do you want now, you little toad? At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garrett. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited, and to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road. Well, what of it? You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open top-hinged casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, and as I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Miss Garrett. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before? Ah! I don't recall it. Seriously? Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband? And anyway, the man over there in all that regalia said we members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he? Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all. Juror number 4. Oh! Make no mistake, you jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's just a common or garden knife. It would have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing. How would you expect me to know? What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying, please, Mr. Goedepp? Mrs. Goedepp? Now you listen to me. Was hat sie gesagt? We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know? I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it. Oh, the poor woman. So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife if that's what you think. Come along now. Chop chop. Do your worst. Well, Mr. Naruhodo. If I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. Then take the stand, juror. Oh. The prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord von Zieks. I'm going to have to testify? Juror number 4. As I'm sure you will appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today. Witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truth being unearthed. Truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware. Oh, dearie me. So, I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Miss Goedepp. And mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. Let's go. This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here, in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer. Witness, state your name and occupation. Oh, yes, my name is Joan Goedepp. And I'm a juror, and such like. It sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife, or a maid, or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam? Yes, my lord. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh dearie me. Chin up, Joni. Nothing to worry about now. Oh, ist das der Mr. Goedepp? Oh, I didn't know you were here, John. John und Joan fällt mir jetzt erst auf. Ja, moin. Wasn't only you in the courtroom that day, old thing, was it? You rather think I ought to testify as well, don't you? But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a convict to face disciplinary action alone. Oh, John. I presume you are Mr. John Goedepp. Yes, sir. Former 2nd Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Seen my fair share of action and now living the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Ah, well, yes. Quiet. I believe this may represent the first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once. Okay.